Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Happy Friday. We're starting off the new year. I said the new year, the new month today. It is March 1st. 2 months of the year down. That is two green months back to back. That is beautiful so far. Let's keep the momentum going for the week. Let's start off the month right. It is Friday. We do have some data coming out today. Let's start off here. We had that 8:30 already. He already made an appearance. We have that 9:45 PMI final. Tons of data at 10, and some Fed speaking at the rest of the day. So you could be a little bit more on the cautious side, um, especially with SPY opening back up into this area here. So you could focus a little bit more on the relative names on SPY, on the relative names compared to SPY because we're at this high, and we've been rejecting this high for a few days now. But if you want to play SPY, I will say the pivot here for the downside is that 505. We get below 505 for a break and hold. I do believe we're going to see that 503 and then that 500. We do have a gap fill below that 503, and then I believe from there we'll basically hunt down close to that 500, and we should bounce from there. But that's a huge, long way down, basically. For the upside, it'll basically be a break and hold above this 510, and I'll look for a move up into this 512. Break and hold, break, hold, retest 510, confirmation, move for up to the 512. Qs. Again, I've been saying the same thing. On the Qs, I'm not touching anything in between this zone here. A break and hold below that 430, or a bounce at this 430, a break and hold above this 441, or a reject. Any signs of weakness up here at these levels, these all-time highs, I'll look for a short. IWM. I'm not going to touch IWM until it breaks and holds this 205 and comes down and tests this 205 204.7 range for confirmation for the upside. For the downside, I'm looking for a break and hold below this 202 for a move into that 200. Now, what are we looking at for relative names? Dell. Dell had great earnings. I'm looking for a pullback into this 113, 110 area. Ideally, I wanted that 120 break for a move into this 125. But since it already broke it pre-market, we're going to see how it tests this 120 first. If it fails it, I really like this 113 area for a bounce, 113, 110. You could scale in a little bit early at this 115. It'll be more of a high risk. But if you start getting that candle confirmations down here for the upside, you could definitely take that as well. AMD, very simple. I'm looking for it to come down to this 190, 192. We could call it 191, excuse me. Ideally, I had it at that 193, but it already did the move. I was going to change that here for the pre-market, but that's all right. Break and hold above this 200, break and retest. Okta, we've been watching it for a few days now. That 100, 102 bounce, break and hold above this 113. I like Amazon above this 180, and I want to see a reaction down here at this 175. We're also looking at Apple for a break and hold below this 178.5. There we go. Or a break and hold above this 182. Same thing with Tesla. I would like to see it come down and break and hold 198 for a move down low. For highs, I needed to see a break above that 206. All right, we're about a minute away from the open. Get those contracts ready. Just remember, you got to be a little. You could be a little light today because of all the data that's coming out around 9:45 and 10 o'clock. And it's the beginning of the month, and it's a Friday, so take all that into consideration. But nonetheless, let's get the day started. Happy Friday, happy Friday. Let's stay green. Top watches on here in the morning is AMD and Dell. I have my alert set everywhere else. Let me set an alert down here. There we go. That has an alert. That has an alert up there. Okay. Here we go. Market's open. Dell is just so strong at these new highs. People are about to start taking profit though. Definitely at that 130. SPY's approaching that 510 area. Let's look for a sign. Any weakness up here. I wouldn't mind taking some SPY shorts. I'll look into the in the money 509s. Let's see what we get. A pull back into this 120 instead of that 113 looks fairly good on Dell. I'm gonna pop open SPX next to SPY just for some correlation. These are the all-time highs on it. Here we go. That's the reject like I said up here at that 130 for Dell. Alright, SPX is at 5,100. It's hovering still around this area. It's holding very nicely. Let me set an alert down here for Dell. Here comes AMD as well. Set an alert here. And we're going to set an alert down here. Same thing with Okta. That way we get alerted and it'll let us know. There's AMD. You can get your AMDs ready. We need a break and hold above that 200. I started to reject that 200. Nice hold. It needs to close above 200. I'm watching it still. It's at 199. It's 198 now. Be very cautious at this 120 on Dell as well. After a big reject like that, sometimes it's hard to take a bounce, especially at the market open. SPY still at these highs. All right, so we know for sure that that 200 is the line in the sand. A break and hold above that, and it should go for AMD. We do see some buyers down here at Dell as you start seeing these candles. After a reject like that, it's holding pretty nicely. Apple and Tesla's doing what it wants. IWM rejected that 204.7, basically that 205. The Qs are struggling to get above that 441, and there's Dell crossing below, giving us the indication to look at it. If I get Dell, it would be there's 120 calls, but if you have a smaller account, um, just wait until a better entry closer to the 120. There's SPY starting to reject, and SPX. It's a nice hold on Dell. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Here comes Tesla as well. We just got the alert. We're watching Tesla down here. Break and hold of this 198.5. Market's getting weaker. AMD's getting pretty strong. These three wicks down here looks really good. We just needed to break above that 200. So one more alert down here on Tesla. I'd love to see Dell come down below 120 and then come back up and reclaim it. I would love that. Right, SPY's coming down. Dell's holding. IWM completely failed that. Tesla's about to break that 198.5. There it is. It needs to hold that. SPX just filled this mini gap that it had from this morning. It's a 15-minute gap. Yeah, I haven't taken a trade yet. Just being patient. I like the SPY candle a lot. Qs are trying to push above this 441. And pop open the still in this little 15-minute range. The orb is about to set. The orb would basically be that 441 down to 439. So to make it easier for people, I'll mark it and I'll make it yellow. views look really good. I still like Dell for it to come down below 120. It did break and retest it, but I want to see a little bit more red. You could look for some puts up here at this 200. Unless we break below here. All right, Dell's at that 120. Everything's kind of just holding right now. Except for IWM. That thing's dying. I want to see a deeper of a pullback on this Dell. Let me look at the volume. It's losing volume here, and it's holding. It's actually a really good sign. Get your Dell 120 calls ready. You have about 2 minutes left on this candle. This is the deeper pullback we were looking for. Now we'll close above 120. It's a nice bounce. Still in this 15-minute orb. SPY's holding as well. Uh, We definitely missed that Tesla 200 reject. Apologies, everybody. Was focused on Dell. Was not paying attention to that Tesla 200 reject. 60 cent move. A quick little scalp. That would have been. All right, brand new five. If we break it and hold 120, I'll take some calls on Dell. If not, I do still love that 113, 110 bounce. Not touching either of those two. I'm not going to take that 200 right now after that close. We want to start off the month strong, so just be cautious. Everything's still just in zones from what we're looking at. If you guys have any questions, you can put them up on the chat. I won't see them immediately, but I'll definitely see them. Yeah, I think we'll get a big move after this data at 10. Probably what people are waiting for to get a better direction. Oh, excuse me, everybody. Didn't mean to yawn. This loses 198.5 now after it bounced off of it like this. Um, get ready to see 195 quickly. But if Tesla breaks 202.5, get ready to see that 205 up here. Breaks that 202.5, holds it, it'll definitely see that 205 today. I wish I took those puts up here at 130. What was the high? 131. Yeah, that would have been beautiful. I just don't like taking that first 5 minute candle. Yeah, these 120 Dell calls are priced very nicely now. They're at the 120, 115 range. It's a decent hold. We have data in about 2 minutes. Tread lightly. If you're in a trade here, you can cut. If you're in profit, we're not traders that jump in and hope for a move. We have to wait for our levels. It's a decent hold. There's no volume on this 15-minute candle. We're in the middle of that orb still on SPY. This would be the orb between those yellows. So 5, 10, 15 right there. The opening range. Same thing with the Qs. We're still in the middle between IWM's orb. We're below Dell's orb. So you could take a put up here, but I think it might be a little high risk. Alright, 1 more minute for data. Either we fly or we dump. Apple's coming down to this 178.5. with pretty much no volume. Let's got the 15-minute. Last time it bounced there. This big wick up here, and you have a big wick here, so a break of that 178.5 looks very, very good. Alright, data's out. Just gapped up. Here's the test. Starting to bounce off that 5,100. If we lose that, I think we see lower. Qs are above that 441. This next candle is going to be a tell-all. Dell rejected that 120. Apple starting to show some weakness. We're at this 441 on Qs. Either we hold or we lose this 441 here. I'm in some puts here. That's 10%. 11%, 12%, 15%, 17%, 18%, 20%. Start trimming at that 20%. Start trimming at that 20%, everybody. Beautiful, beautiful trade, everybody. Nice trim on that 20%. No reason to sell these here. That was a beautiful trim. A break and hold above 441. That was a quick scalp, I know. You got to be a little more aggressive on moves like that. We got in at about 116 and we sold at 20% on those. Q puts. That was a scalp. Where's AMD? So let me look at AMD. I just crossed 200. That might help Q's push above. AMD is just a whole nother horse. AMD and Nvidia, man. Oh, what a candle. Got that 15-minute on SPX. My only thing about that is that it has no volume. That move right now has no volume. That's my only thing. We're breaking these levels. Like we're breaking above with no volume. That's usually a sign of a false breakout. Usually, but it could just squeeze due to data. That's why on days like today, you trade relative names. And these would be relative names. Look at that. New highs, new all-time highs on Qs, right? 441.78, 441.78 on the penny. 79. That's right there. New highs. We could start looking for a pullback into this 200 on AMD. On the Qs, we could look for a pullback down into this 441 with stops below 440 down here. Keep that in a range. You could keep a tight stop below this candle here, this breakout candle at that 440.6 on that pullback. SPY, wait for that to break this 510 officially. Let's look at the volume. Has low volume, but this candle here was the data candle, and it's starting to reverse it now. But again, it needs to break and hold above it. So I'll move into this 510, holds and comes back down. Would be ideal. Ideal. This Dell still looks really good. Break and hold above this 120 for another leg higher. Here comes AMD. Keep your eyes on AMD. It's beautiful 15-minute. Excuse me. Rising volume on the 15-minute, as you see here. Slightly, but I mean it's definitely rising still. SPY just rejected that 510. Qs are stronger, so when you see this where Qs actually already broke those highs, definitely focus more on QQQ and some tech. Like Tesla's struggling. Qs are at all new all-time highs. Dell's starting to approach that 120. So our two main focuses right now is a pullback into this 441. I will put an alert here for Qs. We'll put another alert down here in case if we get down there. And in case if we get up here, we'll put an alert. That way we know we're going above that 202.5. Right now we're gonna keep looking at these two guys right here, AMD and Dell. Ideally, I want to see AMD come down below 200 and then come back up and reclaim it. And Dell, I'd love to see it break this 120 and hold it. And we could keep a very tight leash which stops under 120. It's beautiful, yep. This push up into this 442, starting to have some rising volume. Any pullback into this 441 with confirmation, we will take. SPY just needs to break above this 510 and SPX above this 511. 5,111, excuse me. All right, here comes Dell. All right, the Dell contracts I am looking at are still those 120 calls. AMD would be probably in the money, 200. Yeah, 200. If you know me, I don't like trading those point .5s, so those 200s look good to me. There it is. SPY broke 510, but it needs to officially break above it and hold it. Tesla struggling at this 200, but I think we break. I think we're going to new highs today and just squeezing. This is the orb. Remember, a test of this orb. It was previous all-time highs as well on Qs. That is a two indications of two confluences, excuse me, of a move back up higher. You could look for another confirmation. It also correlates to VWAP as well. This level here, look for another confirmation. It's in the cloud, so that's most likely close to the 9 EMA. So that's what 9 EMA, VWAP, break of all-time highs, orb. That's about 5 confluences that you have here for a pullback. That's a strong A plus setup. And on the 15-minute, you have the exact same thing right there. That 441, you could start scaling in at 441.2. Even up here at 441.4, you can start scaling in. But that'd be about 40-50 cent stop loss. I'd like for it to come down past that 441.4 and get in as close as I can to that 441. Here comes Dell as well. AMD starting to come down. Let's see if AMD has the same thing. Has VWAP a little bit lower at that 198. Same thing down here. This 199, 198 is very, very crucial on AMD. So it could just break below this 200. If we start to see it react, you could definitely start sizing in. Watching Dell and AMD. I'm keeping an eye up here on Qs as well. We have that alert at 441.4, sitting at 441.6.7 right now for the Qs. SPY rejecting a little bit of that 510. Tesla still below that 200. Wait for the trade to come to you. Beautiful on Dell. It broke that 120 right there. Again, it just needs to hold above, close above it. Excuse me. Here's AMD showing signs of strength at that 200. Waiting for a little bit more of a pullback on Qs. We might not get it since SPY's looking to get above this 510. Again, it has no volume though. So any signs of this weakness, this candle here, this red candle, it's a big indication that if we don't close above this 510 or even above this whole 510.2, we could see lower. But I'm definitely going to take this QQQ bounce, whether and anything really. I really like it. There it is. It didn't close above. There's 3 more minutes. AMD starting to come down to those levels. Like I said, that 199 is really, really crucial. As you see, 199. This whole area right here. Apple starting to lose this 178. It's fighting it. If you want to get in Apple, you could look for the 180 puts. They're hovering at about 1.6 ish. But again, it needs to break and hold below it. They're pretty much holding SPY down right now as well. Any sign of strength on Apple would immensely help SPY. Dell's struggling at that 120. AMD's below that 200. Not a little lower, AMD. I'll buy some at the if it breaks 199. And I'll keep stops at I want to see the break of 199. Here comes Q's. Come on, hit my alert, Q. Come down lower. What's the 1 hour doing? There's Apple. Rising volume on that break as well. If it holds below 178.5, that's crucial. With volume coming in. 30 more seconds. That's not a good close if it closes 3 to 2 cents below it. Yeah, that's basically closing right at it, so you have to be more careful here for Apple. Yeah, you could have gone that high risk entry on the Qs for a bounce, like I said earlier, that 441.4. It touched 441.42. That's a 50-cent move there. But this is why you don't. Let me show you Apple again. This is why you don't take the break. You gotta wait for it to break, hold, not close right at it. So break, close below, come back up, retest it, show that confirmation of the rejection for a move back down lower. AMD's holding above that 200 or trying to. So this 5 minute, ideally I would love it for it to close above. It did come down to my their SPY. Their SPY. That's what SPY had to do. It closes up here. I think we're squeezing for the rest of the day. Damn, I really wanted this to come down a little lower for those cues. If only you listened to me. Alright, looks like we might get AMD. And Dell. I really like Dell a lot. It's just pretty much at VWAP, Dell, that 120.02. Like that's basically like I kept saying it needs to break and hold above 120. Here comes AMD as well. Be a little cautious here. I mean, we're already very green for the day. Off that quick little scalp. Oh. Boom, there's Dell. Dell closes up here. That'll be beautiful. Come down a little lower, AMD. Here we go. Did you guys get in some? My average is 155 on AMD. There we go. That's $10 per contract. Here we go. This loses this level here, we'll get out for a paper cut. Yep, we're out. That's a paper cut right there. Focused on cues. I only lost 20 bucks on that AMD bounce. Or test of the VWAP, I should say. Engulfing this previous candle at these all-time highs is scary. Even on the 5 minute. Just so you guys know. If it does it on the 15, I don't think we go back above day's high today. But here comes Q's. Get your QQQ calls ready. I'm going to go for next week expiration. Or 15, I'll get filled. Yeah. It's pretty funny. I was getting my contract ready. For next week, I was changing them over to the next week contracts. I definitely missed it when that happened. There's the break. Now it tested that 178. We want to see a green candle start to come up here and look for that confirmation. This is very, very crucial that you see this on Tesla. This is what I call a hole, the H. Break below this 198.5, things could get ugly. At this point, I'm looking for a candle confirmation for me to get into Qs. I will not get back in. I will not try to get in at 441.15 now. Do 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 do. That's 10% on next week's contracts if you got in. Beautiful. If you got in 0 DTEs, that's definitely 20%. Dell's still struggling at this 120. You can take profit here on Qs if you want. 10 to 15%, about 20, 25% on 0 DTEs, 10 to 15% on next week's. For me to get back into AMD, it needs to break above 200. If not, at this point, I'm looking for a pullback down into this 193 to 190. I'm not looking at Okta or Amazon anymore. They're just chilling in another sense. I might just be done for the day. Took a 20% trade on Q puts. If you got in QQQ calls at the retest for that 441 on 0 DTEs, that was 20 to 25% and about 10 to 15% on next week contracts. So that was a beautiful move there. Um, what else did we call today? You could look for this retest of this 178.5. Stops above 178.75. Look for Tesla to come down and break this 198.5. If it does that, we have room down below, which pretty much what's holding Tesla and other stocks like this, like AMD. They're holding the Qs down and not letting it push back up. Let's look at the heat map really quick, actually, before I get out of here. Yeah, everything's fairly kind of neutral. Let's take a quick peek at AVGO. The horse. I'm still waiting for this to come back down to 1,000 one day. It'll happen. That was my buy level. That 1,000. I'll even buy some at 1,002. That failure here to hold 510 is crucial. Um, but we'll see what happens. We might just chop around. Keep an eye on Tesla. But yeah, I'm all set for today. Hope you guys had a good day. Hope you guys enjoyed the day. We starting the month off green. I'll catch you guys back on Monday. Have a good one, everybody. See ya.